Hey everybody, welcome to the second annual Wyoming Classic, brought to you by Laramie County Disc Golf Club. Thank you Josh and Jordy for putting this on for us. This footage was brought to you today by Shy Ride Productions. This is Dale himself.
Hey everybody, our players today are Tyler Liebman, and then we have Rob Nichols here. Tyler's out of Fort Collins, and Rob's out of the Denver area. We also have Kyle Griffin. He's out of Wellington. He's done a lot of work on that course there, made it a really nice course. And then we have Nick Culver. I'm pretty sure he's out of the Denver area as well. I'm not sure on that, but
All them Colorado boys coming up to Wyoming to represent for sure.
yeah, there a lot of good players come out of Colorado. It's fun to watch them.
We got hole one coming up for you with 249 foot right to a little spider tree back by the creek.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy hyzer, but you got to be careful because the creek is right behind it. So that's the most common play. Come up a little short just to make sure you have a putt. Here's Tyler. Looks like he's throwing the same thing. That's probably what we're going to see out of everyone.
A little bit deeper though, that looks parked.
Yeah, either parked or wet. Here's Kyle throwing his drive. So you think that might have been the new tactic? Seems like the right shot for it.
He does have an open shot, but it's shorter than he wanted to be for sure.
Yeah, here's Nick. Oh, I'm not sure exactly where that one finished.
If you get caught in that tall stuff, it can be a pain.
Yes, it can. Oh wow, that was nice, right over that branch. That branch is at just the wrong height. That was a great putt by Rob. Here's Kyle. Oh darn. Okay, well, looks like Nick did end up in the bushes there. That can make that really difficult.
Yeah, it's really hard to punch through all that. He found a hole, I guess.
Yeah, I think maybe more of one than he thought.
And Tyler was indeed parked.
Yes, he was. Easy bird, that's what we like.
Nick did kick out good enough to get that par tap in, and Kyle will do the same.
So that's about average for that hole. That tree can really block you, so it can be really difficult to get a good line on that. Alright, so we had 2 birdies and 2 pars on that one.
Not a bad way to start the round.
No, not at all. Here's hole 2, and this can be a really difficult hole as well. It takes a pretty precise shot.
It's only 325 feet, but those bushes right up front make you have to take that high ceiling, and that throws in a lot of extra variables later in the flight.
Well, and that sidearm has to go really wide to get all the way there.
Well, it bounces out just outside the circle. He should
Yeah,
have
I'd
that
say
putt.
maybe about 40 feet. Tyler lining up a backhand, give you a little bit of a look at that one. And that's about the most common reaction. You have to go so high, like you said at the beginning, that it tends to hyzer out at the end.
Looks like a putter in Kyle's hand.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of power. I wouldn't be too surprised about that. Well, and it never came back, so it very well might be.
But both sides of the creek are safe on this hole.
Yes. Here's Nick. Looked like a mid-range.
Ooh, flipped a little too hard and got caught in that tree.
Yep, that's definitely a danger. Looks like he got to the good side of it, though. He's got a chance of getting out at least.
Came out a little early, but he's got a putt inside 15 feet.
Here's Kyle. Like we said, the other side of the creek is safe, so he's got a putt here. Oh, he gave it a run, too. Here's Tyler from about 40 feet.
Just a little low. Looks like that tailwind might have pushed it down a bit.
Did look like it dropped. Oh, so Rob tried to get it up a little higher and it floated on him. Easy par for him, though.
Looked like he was not trusting that wind for sure.
I don't blame him. We had a pretty windy day that day, actually.
Nice center putt for Kyle.
That one got a little bouncy, but in is good. Here's Tyler gonna tap out his par.
And that's a star for the card.
Yep, looks like they all took par on that one. That's a difficult hole, though. It's hard to get in position for the birdie.
So up next is the longest hole in the course. This round they don't have it set up in the longest position, but it is probably more technical up along the creek up by the road. Common play is the hyzer play on this one.
Yeah, this drive is very much about placement. You want to get not there, but you want to get out into a good spot to have a nice easy shot to approach the road. I like being a little more left because then I can throw a hyzer in and it kind of takes the road out of play.
Oh, and that is smashed.
That is smashed. That's
about 460.
Lucky it stayed in bounds, but that's a long drive for sure. Looks like Kyle got hold of that one pretty good too.
And he got out about 420, 425, and has a nice hyzer look at the basket from there, just like you were talking about.
Yeah, I really like that angle a lot better. I just have to throw a nice overstable putter that'll just slide right in there.
And Nick is right between the two. That's another good spot to be, but it does lend toward a faster upshot on this slippery green.
Rob throwing out of that tree and throwing just an amazing upshot.
That was pretty.
That was perfect. Kyle he went for the straight shot at it. Looks like he came up a little short, but that should be a pretty easy putt for him. Nick just jump putting it.
And that's perfect.
Yeah. Tyler.
Ooh, this looks scary. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want here. Don't have to putt. There's a great putt by Kyle, though. With that water right there, it can get intimidating, even on some of the shorter putts.
The water's maybe 3-4 feet away from the basket.
If it's more, it's not much more. But they all gave themselves pretty short putts so that they don't have to worry about it.
Some nice clean birdies for the whole card. Good star birdie.
Alright, so all four of them taking birdie. Everybody's now under par.
Tying Rob down 2 and Kyle and Nick down 1. That's looking hot for the first 3.
These guys are definitely showing us how this course should be played. So here's hole 4, 271 feet. The difficult part about this one is that the path and beyond on the left is out of bounds, and then there's a creek running through it. Both sides of the creek are safe, but you really want to be over kind of by the wall.
Oh, and that just bounces right off the top of that wall. And that little stretch of grass on top of the wall is safe if you manage to stay up there, but he just couldn't stick. That looks scary as well.
Yep, looks like that's going to do the same thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he's actually going to be even farther from the basket.
I threw it up like that.
Alright, so let's see if Kyle can make the correction here.
That's looking much better.
The problem is you leave it out just a little bit too wide and you end up in that creek. It's actually a pretty narrow fairway
That looked
over
like a
there.
tactic to me.
I think it might have been that same one I think he threw on hole 1.
And that must be that harp you were talking about.
Yep, I think that was the JoJo harp that he was throwing all day. That's for Josiah Griffin's signature stamp. Everybody calls him JoJo.
Nick kind of got that putt a little nose up and sent it a little too far. But he should have that comeback.
Well, and you can see the trees in the background. They're blowing pretty good. So it was actually a pretty windy day. And it was picking up the whole day as it went.
He just hops on up.
Yeah, must be nice to have legs that long, that's for sure.
Another 3 save. Beautiful.
That's a tougher putt than they made it look. That downhill putt into a headwind can be really tricky. Oh, that was a great save by Nick.
Great save.
I believe this is still for Kyle's birdie.
He's lining up the solo birdie shot here. Let's see if he's got it. Yeah, and it's an easy putt that the wind can do silly things, so you never really know.
Yeah, that is true.
Kyle taking the only birdie and catching up with the other 2.
We got a 3-way tie at 2 down after 4 holes. So, Nick's going to have to put on a little gas if he wants to catch up, I guess.
A lot of golf ahead.
Yep. Here we have hole 5, 292 feet. It's in the same position both rounds, it looks like as well.
It's just a dead straight shot right down the fairway. You want to kind of tempt those trees on the right so you can do that.
Yep.
He's a little deep, but it's a very makeable putt.
Yeah. This is always the fear that needed to settle. Okay.
Oh, it looks like he's stuck.
Looks
I didn't
like
see
he
any
caught the
OB
grass.
marker on there. And that's the common play there, is to end up a little left.
Yeah, that's the easy mistake to make. If you just let it drift a little left, just get worried about that water and out of bounds on the right, and it's easy to not commit.
Just didn't get the flip he wanted, but that
just
was
a little more
amazing.
Here's Tyler trying to get one around that tree.
Oh gosh.
Oof.
Nick for his birdie. Oh yeah, count it.
That was a great shot.
Rob's scoping out where his disc is over there to the side.
And he found
just
it.
barely hung on. Alright, easy birdie from there though. No fear about bouncing off and going in the creek, I guess.
Kyle for his birdie putt.
He's actually kind of lucky he didn't end up kind of blocked back in that tree. It's easy to get yourself pinched off in there if you end up with the ace run. But we have 2 birdies and
3 birdies.
3 birdies and 1 par, yeah.
That ties up Nick and Tyler, and Rob and Kyle take the lead.
Yeah, sure making a round of it. Definitely keeping it competitive.
Yeah, as you see, hole 6 is also 292 feet.
And also right along the creek edge.
Basically the exact same shot.
Yeah, you have a little more room away from the trees to start with, though. There's a little more room to play a shallow hyzer. Nothing that turns too hard, but...
Yeah, because there's much more danger on the left-hand side on this hole with those aspens down there.
Well, and on top of that, we had a really big rainstorm the night before, so the whole area in the tall grass there is really swampy, so... It's not somewhere you want to be going into right now.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. I like the sidearm play, but I'll be honest, I just don't quite have the sidearm for it. There's that sky blue felon I was telling you about. That drove me nuts as a camera operator. It did not treat me well at all. I can't knock the guy for throwing what he trusts, but man, I was really wanting
like
to take that away from him. Yeah, I think Kyle did put that in the creek. But you can't argue when that disc gets him that. You gotta trust it to get the easy bird on this hole. And Rob's CE Firebird didn't really treat me much better, but man, that's a pretty disc. And that's just, you can't line that hole up any better than Nick played it right there.
Oh, so yeah, Kyle did end up going OB and taking his bogey.
Yeah.
Darn it, he says.
So that drops him back down to 2. Nick moves to 3. Now
With
Rob's,
Tyler.
yeah, with Tyler, and Rob's alone in the lead at 4. These guys are definitely showing us this course.
So first round, this was in the right position. It's a crater, basically, right next to a big old tree. And if you can crash the tree on the right side and fall in that crater, you're golden.
Yeah, this is definitely an ace run hole.
Ooh,
and
yes,
that
it
was
is.
definitely an ace run.
That is a beautiful disc.
Isn't it? That Firebird again. Nick throwing the sidearm.
Little left. Let's see if we can get some flare out of it.
Those aspens have gotten big enough that are by the bench there that it really has more become a sidearm hole. It's become a lot more difficult for a backhand throw.
Another sidearm at it. Skipping off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And that's a simple putt from there.
Yeah, there should be no misses from that range. That's a pretty
10,
easy
15
one.
feet. And the one backhand.
And it looks like it was with the putter. You need something that'll really hold that Anheuser because there's not room for it to really come out. Those trees are late enough in the
on this
flight.
is not out of bounds, so Nick is going to end up putting for his birdie here. Oh, that branch just took enough off.
It's really hard to get those putts up high enough from there with that low-hanging branch and then the bushes under it. Yep, looks like an easy putt for Rob. That one can be awkward just because of the tree that you have to kind of maneuver around. There's Kyle for his birdie.
Good putt.
It always throws me that he putts lefty. Every time I'm seeing him, I think he's still just loosening up, and then he actually does putt lefty. It just seems weird. I enjoy watching him, though. He's a good player. So Nick with the lone par on this one.
Kyle caught back up with Nick on that one, and Rob still in the lead with a 5 down, and Ty right behind him with a 4. Going into hole 8. Where was it on this one?
The left position, the first one, the short left position, it's 337 feet. You just got to make sure you get around the big tree short of it, and then not go too long and go into the trees long of it.
Oh, it looks pretty good.
For these guys, it's a pretty simple hyzer shot.
He seemed pretty happy with that drive. The high hyzer is the play for this hole for most of us.
Yeah, some of us players don't quite have the arm for it, and we shoot the gap on the left, and you have to flex that one a little bit, otherwise you end up catching some branches. It's tough to get through that gap, though, so if you have this shot, it's the one to throw. And the problem is that the whole area that that they would generally want to land is flooded. So you really want to get far enough left that you're on higher ground and not having to do this.
Well, that looked refreshing.
Probably did cool him down a little.
Oh, and
That's amazing. To get out of there from where he was is just amazing.
that is absolute jail in those trees.
And Rob just counting them off. Another great birdie. Here's Tyler. Looks like he's in good shape. Another pretty easy birdie for him. Looks like maybe he didn't think so. I know he's commented about struggling a little with his straddle putts on occasion. That was a great par save by Nick. When you get yourself in those trees, it's really hard to come out with anything better than a 4. I've even just pitched out to the side and then thrown around and taken my 4 because it was better than the alternative.
Hole 9 is possibly one of my favorite holes in this course. It's just so much fun when you're looking at it and then you throw it and you realize it's actually a really difficult hole. You can take that right gap that Rob just took, but that is such a tight gap through those trees.
Yeah, that's not really one I generally consider very often. That's a pretty tricky gap to go for.
This is the most common play. A sidearm hyzer over those aspens. And he's in the circle, but we'll see if he's got a line to the basket.
Yeah, that right side can be pretty tricky. Either you need to be long enough to be past that bush or short enough to have a look around it.
And that just dropped out of the sky. He's got a hyzer in toward the basket, but there's also a creek just behind.
Yeah, those aspens are getting so tall, it's getting harder to throw the backhand shot on this hole.
Nick taking the sidearm. A little short, but has an open putt from about 40 out.
Yeah. Again, though, like you said, the creek is only maybe 15 feet behind it, at most.
Oh, that was very close.
That was probably right over it. Oh, that
Ooh,
nicked
that
it
looks
a
like
little.
it might be OB.
No, I think he managed to stay safe on that one. Oh, that one looked pretty good going by. So Tyler luckily has long legs. I'm not sure I'd have had a look from where his disc is. But
Yeah, he almost couldn't get back up after that, but that was a
Right.
great birdie.
Yes, it was. To be stretched out that far and still make it, that was a great putt.
So Rob did end up staying safe. So did Nick.
Those downed logs right there can be kind of a pain sometimes, but they can also save you, so I'm glad they leave them. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of a barrier there. Looks like Kyle was able to save his par as well, so Tyler was the only 2 on that one, but at least nobody gave any up either.
Tied it up with Rob, though.
Right. These guys are definitely making a run at this course. 6 down through 9 is a pretty impressive score.
Now, this next one is actually coming from a different tee pad than we would have typically used. Someone has actually bought some land near the course, and we've been forced to restructure, so to speak. And so this is the first time we've been ever using this tee pad. And that was a pretty decent shot.
Yeah, that's a very nice shot. Looks like Rob's going to follow suit. I guess he agreed that that was a pretty nice shot.
That CE Firebird. A little bit of flare. He might have some branches in the way, but that was a decent drive.
Yeah. Looks like Kyle's throwing a mid-range.
Looks like it might be.
Oh, and right over the top of the basket.
Perhaps? Way deep. It's
Looked
gonna be a
like
comeback.
about 37, 38 maybe.
Looks like Nick's going with that harp again.
Yeah, you can see the JoJo writing on the top of it. Looks like he wants it to go a little. Oh,
Yeah,
yep, caught
he
the
needed
tall
it to.
grass. So Kyle did leave himself a little bit of a putt here. Oh, that was so close.
That was great. I don't think he bounced too far away. He should be able to clean that par up easily.
Tyler counting off another birdie. Oh, having to go around the water. Like I
Yeah.
said, we had some flooding issues just the night before this one. Had a huge rainstorm.
Ooh, Looks like the headwind lifted that on him.
Rob does have to lean out, like you said. That branch is in his way just a little bit.
Not too much, though, obviously.
Nope, he was able to make it work. Tyler's not really giving him much choice.
Just keeping that pressure on him.
Yeah. Nick
Great save.
pitching one out of that tree. That's a great save indeed. That's one of the downfalls of that. It is pretty close to that tree. If you get yourself buried in there, that can be trouble.
Kyle and Nick pacing out with each other as well, staying at 3 down, while Tyler and Rob move to 7 down, going into the 11th hole. That's the end of part 1 of round 1. So come on back and check out part 2, and we'll see what happens for the rest of this first round.